A very good morning to my dear children. In today's video, we are going to do a chapter from your book Honeycomb. So we are going to do now lesson number 3, Gopal and Hilsa fish. In this chapter, we are going to understand that why were people busy in talking about only Hilsa fish? And second thing which we are going to understand is what challenge was given to Gopal by king. And we will understand in the end of the chapter that how Gopal won his challenge. So now let's start lesson number 3, that is Gopal and Hilsa fish. So it was a season when Hilsa fish, the fishermen could think of nothing but only Hilsa fish. So this complete story is revolving around the Hilsa fish and Gopal. Gopal, I told you, is a king's courtier or advisor in king's palace. Hilsa fish was a very famous fish. It was in high demand and everybody was just talking and thinking about Hilsa fish. So here you can see fishmongers sold nothing but Hilsa fish. Fishmongers means they were the dealers of Hilsa fish. They were just selling Hilsa fish, nothing else. Come by, the price of Hilsa fish is down today. Even all householders could talk of nothing but Hilsa fish. Here you can see in the picture, how much did you pay for that, Hilsa? You won't believe it if I told you. So now after seeing this conversation, you can understand not only the fishmongers were talking about Hilsa fish, even householders were talking about Hilsa fish. And in the palace too, the courtiers could discuss nothing but Hilsa fish. Now you can see, everybody was just talking about Hilsa fish. Now in the palace of the king also, courtiers could discuss about Hilsa fish, nothing else. Now as you can see, one of the courtiers says to king, "Your Majesty, you should have seen the huge Hilsa fish I caught it was. Now the courtier is also talking about the Hilsa fish to the king. Now the courtier were also talking about a huge Hilsa fish, so king got angry on it. So king literally shouted, "Stop it! Are you a courtier or a fisherman?" And he scolded a courtier. So the courtier felt silent with downcast eyes. The king felt guilty. Then the courtier was all quiet because king shouted, so king felt guilty. The king was feeling very bad that he shouted upon a courtier. Then the king said, "I'm sorry, I lost my temper. It's the season for Hilsa fish and no one." Here king said sorry to courtiers for shouting and because he lost his temper. Not even Gopal can stop anyone from talking about Hilsa fish, not even for 5 minutes. Here, now the king said to the courtier that not even Gopal, who is one of his courtiers, could stop anyone from talking about Hilsa fish, not even for 5 minutes. Then Gopal said, "Oh, I think I could, Your Majesty." Now Gopal said that, I can stop people talking about huge Hilsa fish. Then the king said, then let me see you buy a huge Hilsa fish and bring it to the palace without anyone asking you a word about it. Then Gopal said, I accept the challenge, Your Majesty. So here the king challenged Gopal that he had to bring the huge Hilsa fish to the palace, but there is a condition that nobody should talk about Hilsa fish or nobody should ask him even a word about a Hilsa fish. Then Gopal accepted the challenge. So after leaving from a palace, after a few days, one day Gopal's wife asked him, why is your face half shaven? So he replies, I am dressing up to buy fish. Here Gopal's wife is asking him, why are you looking so weird? Why your face is half shaven? So Gopal simply replies, so I am just dressing up to buy huge Hilsa fish. What's the matter with you? Why are you smearing yourself with ash? Here smearing means sprinkling. So here again Gopal's wife asked him that what is wrong with you? Why are you sprinkling ash on your body? Then Gopal replies, I told you I am dressing up to buy a Hilsa fish. So here he already replied her that I am getting ready to buy a Hilsa fish. Listen to me. Please, you can't possibly go out in those disgraceful rags. What are you up to? Rags means torn clothes. So here you can see his wife is again asking him that listen to me, you can't go out in torn clothes. So again Gopal replies to his wife, how many times must I tell you, woman, I am out to buy a huge Hilsa fish. So here Gopal is literally shouting upon his wife that how many times do I need to tell you that I am going out to buy a Hilsa fish? Now here his wife is thinking it happened to him, he's gone mad. So here his wife is thinking her husband had gone mad because he's going out half shaven and in so rags. Gopal bought the Hilsa fish and started walking towards the palace. So now, according to the challenge, remember the challenge, the king that he had to bring huge Hilsa fish to the palace, but in one condition, that nobody should talk about the Hilsa fish. So now he was completing his challenge and he was bringing the Hilsa fish to the palace. So in the midway, what happened? Mother, look at that man, isn't he comical? Comical means comedy. Children was saying that, look at that man, isn't he looking funny? Another one said, hush, I think he's mystic. And another one said, he must be madman. So in the midway, everybody was just talking about a position of a Gopal, but nobody was talking about a huge Hilsa fish. So when Gopal reached the court, the courtier stopped him in front of a gate and they asked him, what do you want? Even the gatekeepers of a palace were not able to recognize Gopal. So Gopal replied, I want to see the king. So gatekeeper literally shouted upon Gopal and he said, you can't see the king. Get away with you. So Gopal began to dance and sing loudly. So when the courtiers were not allowing him to enter into the palace and they were not allowing him to meet the king, so what he did, he started dancing and singing loudly in front of a gate of a palace. So inside the palace, the Gopal was singing and dancing so loudly. So king said from palace, the man is crazy. Throw him out at once. He ordered his courtiers, throw him out. Then Gopal said, I want to see the king. Please let me in. Then king said, bring that man to me at once. Then he ordered his courtier to bring Gopal inside his palace. So courtier said, yes, your majesty. So now Gopal was brought before the king. So one of the courtier recognized Gopal and he said, oh, it's Gopal. And another one said, the man has lost his mind. And another one said, I think it's one of his crazy jokes. Now here you might have noticed, everybody is talking about Gopal. Nobody is talking about a Hilsa fish. Then king asked Gopal, all right Gopal, out with it. Why are you dressing up in this ridiculous fashion? Then Gopal replied to king, your majesty, you seem to have forgotten something. Then here, king tried to recall what is he forgetting. Forgotten something? Here he was remembering that what had he forgotten. Strangely enough, no one seems to be interested in Hilsa fish today. From the market to the palace and in the court, not a soul has spoken a word about Hilsa fish. Now, Gopal reminded his challenge that while coming to the palace, everybody was talking about Gopal only. Nobody was talking about this huge Hilsa fish which he was bringing to the palace. And everybody was just gossiping about Gopal. Nobody was interested in Hilsa fish. Only then did the king remember the challenge he had thrown to Gopal. Then the king remembered the challenge which he gave to Gopal. So he said to Gopal, ha ha, well Gopal, congratulations. You have achieved the impossible once again. So now on the victory of Gopal, he was congratulated by the king. So to students, here we completed chapter Gopal and Hilsa fish. Thank you. So I hope children, you have understood a chapter very well. So after that, you will be able to do a back exercise very well. Here are the extra questions related to a chapter. Hope you will be able to solve it. Thank you.